Alright, this video is going to be amazing for a couple reasons. One, because I only drop bangers, and two, because we're taking a different approach to Saitama. See, ever since One Punch Man came onto the scene, he was met instantly with two things. One, fanboys that just thought he beats everybody. And two, people instantly out to downplay him and like just kill the image of him being the one punch guy that one-shots everybody. However, I'm not afraid of that narrative, the whole one-shot thing. So today, we are not only hunting Saitama, we are going to be hunting the same Saitama that is viewed as basically unbeatable by fanboys and proven he still can be beat, even if we use their scaling. So I'm going to use what I consider to be the best highball scaling you can find for Saitama. And then I'm going to send 3 characters after him in my Who Can Beat series. If you don't know how this works, my Who Can Beat will be 3 characters that might not win 1v1 versus a target, but as a 3v1, I believe they would win. If you like videos like this, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, all that, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Welcome to all the new subscribers, and enjoy the video. So, let's go over Saitama, specifically the version I'm talking about. The scaling I will be using comes from Jump Force. Now, if you don't know what Jump Force was, it was a shitty game that was made. It should have been great, but it was horrible. It basically was a celebration of all the works Jump has made over the years, right? Legendary works that they've helped produce, which includes Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball, Bleach, all that. So we have all this in this game, and the main bad, spoiler alert, is a character that literally is a part of a race, the Keymen, I believe, and they use Onyx books, which put out real manga, real material that is used to actually influence culture and change culture in the real world. And what he was trying to do was collect power, harness power, surpass everybody, even the ones that use the Onyx books, and basically merge the real world with the game world in fiction, like the mangas, and then become their god, right? And then the reason this is crazy, because obviously, like literally during the game, you can see the real manga panels from like Dragon Ball flashing and the other series. It was crazy. So you get all this, and this is important. This is obviously wild scaling, because one of the developers and directors of the game was asked, hey, why didn't you add Saitama? He's stupid popular. You should have added him to the fighting game. And he said, have you seen, the anime or anything for One Punch Man? Like, he literally one-shots. He just one-shots everything. And so the guy was like, okay, like, even if you consider that, you could do a thing where he, like, levels up and progresses. And then eventually, like, his highest level is his one-shot stage, his One Punch Man vibe. And the dude goes, that's cool, but even base level 1 Saitama just one-shots everyone in the game. So, this would mean Saitama scales above a character who can manipulate and influence the real world. So, that got me thinking. This is probably the best, like, quote, wank Saitama evidence I've seen, and it's pretty interesting. How would I take it down? Here are my 3 characters to bring down this, diabolical version of Saitama that everyone's been hating for years, this OP Saitama. First up, Stephen King from Kingverse. So Stephen King obviously wrote all the King novels and characters, but he's also quite literally a character portrayed in his stories, and he was visited by some of his characters who wanted him to help basically change the narrative and help them win the story. It was crazy. But Stephen King has the ability to draw up and create characters of the degree like True Form Penny and the Gunslinger, right? Who stalemated Mordred, who could take down the Dark Towers, which represents everything, like every story written. So King, the reason I don't know if King would win 1v1 is King's kind of a bitch in his books. Like, he's kind of soft. He's scared of Pennywise, scared of everything. But if he has time and help and, a little bit of courage, he can easily write up a character or produce a character, one of his own, basically like a narrative summons, to come and fight this version of Saitama and help out. Now, next up in the group is Stan Lee, specifically from Stan Lee Adventures. This was pretty dope. So, as a celebration of all the work Stan Lee has done over the decades, they did a run where basically, as the writer, he projected down into the Marvel 616 verse and was just going around his universe celebrating all they've done, right? You know, just celebrating all the stories, narratives he's created. This Stan Lee met characters like classic Doctor Strange, Ben Grimm, stuff like that. He met Ben, said Ben was meant to be like one of the most tragic stories ever. But we saw in this story that he doesn't really like fighting. Like, Ben Grimm put him in a chokehold and all that. But Stan Lee easily can produce characters, instantly teleport, take you to realms with the very ideas that influenced Marvel Comics. And he can draw up new narratives, completely change narratives. I believe this ability, with the help of others, will make him a massive asset against even wanked Saitama. Finally, we have Grant Morrison. In particular, when Grant Morrison was a writer in the Animal Man run. Now, as a writer, he came down to Animal Man's verse at one point and was literally like summoning characters, changing characters, manipulating reality casually. I mean, it makes sense because he's a writer, right? So, and he's probably one of the more, actually, I would say the most aggressive of the three as a character in his own stories, just kind of letting it fly. So I definitely think that he's like the most dangerous because he's the most aggressive, and I think he'd be the one to start narrative manipulating, reality warping, summoning characters against Saitama, fighting him, and then at that point is when we would see the author abilities of the other two come into play, as obviously numbers brings confidence. Grant Morrison would probably gas them up, tell them they're all platonic, because that's what he does. Obviously, that's a reference to the platonic scaling he cursed the community with a while ago. But yeah, I honestly think it was more fun looking at wanked Saitama and defeating that compared to, like, quote, normal Saitama, because it always felt like something people ran from in scaling, right? They were afraid to pull up on No Limit Saitama and just beat him with a character that's more broken. Saitama, even with his one punch narrative, it's not that broken to deal with when you address it properly. And I feel like with these characters, they would be able to affect that narrative and have shown higher levels of narrative impact to take him down, even with the jump force scaling. So overall, even Wank Saitama is not safe from my series, and I believe the trio of Grant Morrison, Stephen King, and Stan Lee would take down One Punch Man. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. If you want me to run it back and address, you know, quote, normal Saitama, I can. I'll do that later in the series, but I had a lot of fun taking down this Saitama, the Wank Saitama, and, you know, overall researching how high you can get him with, I guess, what we would call proper Wank. Wank we would be more willing to accept because it looks a little more reasonable. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think. If you liked hunting this Saitama, let me know. Who are you sending after Wanked Saitama? Who are you sending to deal with his BS one-shot narrative? Let me know in the comment section down below. I had a lot of fun doing this. Anyways, we are close to 10K. Make sure y'all help spread my content, and have a great day. Peace.